What is up, everybody? What is up? Welcome to another broadcast. It's been a week since I last spoke to all of you. I think the last time I got to speak to all of you, we had quite a bit of fun. It was the first day, the day after I got back from Venezuela. Was able to update you all on what went on over there. It was also the first opportunity I had to speak to you all about some of my thoughts on the launching of the great American Communist Party, the ACP, the People's Party. In many ways, looking back over some of my work in the last couple of years, it's almost as if everything points towards the creation of this party and the work that not only is it already doing, but will continue to do and expand in the coming months and years. Of course, there's so much in store. Um, there's so much in store, and the level of potential that this party has to win a future for our people that's dignified, that's honorable, that's free, that's actually democratic, that's actually sovereign. The potential is tremendous, unlike anything I have ever seen before. Today, I want to give you some updates on the party, some of the things that we've been doing, explain why it is that these things are important and how they're worked into larger plans for the political work our party will be doing. I also hope to discuss some of the stuff going on in the news cycle, specifically the VP choice of Kamala and this video of hers going viral online that the liberals are drooling over. We're going to analyze that within the context of the crisis of legitimacy that we have, not only within the US, but at an international scale. We have become a joke internationally, and it's clear to everyone in the global south that our word basically means nothing and that we're frankly a joke. You know, one of the experiences I had while I was in Venezuela, I was next to delegates from various countries in Africa. I was next to delegates from Vietnam, from China. And one of the most embarrassing experiences was when I pulled out my iPhone, which is not, it's not the newest, but it's not the oldest either. It's maybe 5, 6 year old iPhone. And I went to go take pictures of Maduro and the stage. And it's kind of embarrassing when they pull out their phones and they can zoom in like a million times in, and the picture still be clearer than one of our iPhone pictures, even if we don't do any zooming in. So it was this experience at the phenomenological level helped me realize, okay, yeah, I think we might be the third world now. We're the ones that are on the tailing end. We're the ones that are going out the door. And look, friends and comrades, this is something that we can read about um, and understand at a certain level. But when you experience it in the flesh, that's a much deeper form of having that knowledge be ingrained. And that's one of the things I realized when I got to Venezuela. Like there's a whole lot of stuff that in comparison with the central Afro-Asiatic pole of this new rising multipolar world, we're very much behind. So we'll talk a little bit about the status of the U.S., the Harris choice for VP, the elections, um, and then in conjunction with that, of course, we'll have to talk about the attacks that we've been seeing on lawful American citizens simply because they exercise what was supposed to be a right, which is free speech. One of the most basic democratic rights that the bourgeois form of life is supposed to afford us, rights which are central, I think, to what it means to be American, central to the development of the American identity. these rights are completely stripped from anyone who becomes a dissident, anyone who's considered a dissident of the state, which means not a dissident in regards to America or the American people, but the ruling overlords of America, those people that actually are in power and who do not represent the interests of the American people. They do not represent the interests of any people. The only interest that they represent and uphold to the level of supremacy is capital. All they care about is the numbers continuing to go up in their bank accounts, and they're the ones that are in the pockets of our politicians. They're the ones who our politicians serve, and more, the American people are coming to realize this and to see this very clearly. So I'm going to talk about, of course, the FBI's raiding of Scott Ritter's house. Scott Ritter, of course, is not a communist. He doesn't have to be. He's someone who is honest in his commitment to wanting the best possible lives for the American people at large and having a political class that represents the interest of capital and continuously pushes us into these very scary situations where we find ourselves currently in the precipice of a third world war with nuclear powers, a potentially nuclearized world war. None of that is in the interest of the American people. You know, things are crumbling at home, back at the ranch, as the expression goes, and all we can do is send hundreds of billions of dollars to neo Nazis and to a genocidal entity carrying out a genocide, of course, in Palestine. So Scott has been a very vocal opponent of U.S. imperialist foreign policy. He's not a communist by any means, but if you look at his geopolitical analysis, it overlaps tremendously with the analysis of real communists. Because, quite simply, if you have even the slightest bit of respect um, for the American people, if you have the this their interest at heart in how you engage in politics, if you're a genuine patriot, not these flag waving super patriots that just go hoorah hoorah to every new war, if you're a genuine patriot, someone who actually loves their people, their history, and it's not an exclusive love that means that you don't love other people. You can love other people, but there's something unique about the love you have for your people because you fucking grew up here. It's a natural feeling that everyone sort of develops for the countries that they exist in. These are national realities. If you're an actual patriot, like Scott Ritter describes himself, you're bound to end up having positions that are very similar to the communists, because the communists are fundamentally the people that represent the working class, the people that represent the vast majority of society, that want society to actually serve society itself. They want a form of life where the people are the ones that are in power, not, the private interest of a small group of people who have a whole lot of capital and whose whole purpose in life, their whole telos, is the accumulation of that capital, making more and more and more and more. So, someone who's an American patriot, a genuine one like Scott Ritter, of course, he's going to end up having positions that are similar to us communists. So he got attacked. He's a very vocal voice against the policies of the American empire. He reaches a whole lot of people, and he's a very brilliant man, someone who knows the system inside out. He's been within the system. He's worked within it. And there we go. That's Eddie's completely right. Not our fault that reality is Marxist, that famous Che Guevara quote. And he had his house raided. So we'll discuss that. We'll discuss it in the context of um, my own life and the life specifically of Comrade Jackson Hinkle, of course, on the executive board of our great American Communist Party. His life being threatened by Colombian thugs hired very likely by the same interests which keep us poor, desperate, and indebted here at home, hired to kill him or to kidnap him, to do something not good to him, to threaten his life and his existence. For what? Why would they want to threaten the life of this 24-year-old American citizen? Well, for the same reason they did what they did to Scott Ritter. He's someone who speaks the truth. And these states, as Goebbels once noted of the Nazi state, and it was, it applies equally as true to the American imperialist state. For these states, the greatest enemy is the truth. All of these states, the narratives, um, the ideas that allow for the reproductions of these states, they're based on lies. They're based on distortions. They're based on half facts and twisted things and one-sided interpretations. And what you end up with is a Frankenstein figure, a Frankenstein image of what the world is actually like, which is actually, quite opposite to how things are actually like. And when you challenge that narrative upon which the reproduction of the ruling order is based, you become very dangerous. You become very dangerous. So it shows the hypocrisy of bourgeois rights. Is something, as George Carlin used to say, is something a right if it can be taken away from you as soon as it becomes an inconvenience to the powers that be. So we'll talk about that, and much more. And of course, as always, the comments are open. If you have serious questions, whether about ACP theory, geopolitics, philosophy, whatever you want to ask me about, shoot those in the comment section. I do have a timeline of around an hour and a half. I teach at 7. I'll be teaching my work on the great W.E.B. Du Bois. That's for the Marxist philosophy class we've been running at the Midwestern Marx Institute's Marxism School. A class that's about to end. So if you're interested in taking classes from the Institute, I know we have one coming up from our international director, Professor Danny Shaw, who's going to be teaching about communism and Marxist analysis in the age of multipolarity. So how do we approach a field like international relations in this transitional world that we exist in? And I'll also be teaching a class on the history of philosophy. Is the second time I will be teaching this class for the Institute. It's something I've been teaching every semester in a university setting for the last 5 years. I don't get tired of teaching it. It's always good to see the eyes open up when people engage with ideas that are some of the best humanity has came up with. And then, of course, in my opinion, all of those ideas culminate in the richest philosophical tradition, the tradition that inherits the best of philosophy, which is Marxism. So look out for that. I'll be opening up the sign-up sheets like this class that I'm teaching now. It's going to be an 8-week class, so make sure to look out for that. But without further ado, I want to show you all some of the things that our great party has been doing. For those that don't already, and I can't imagine it's a whole lot of you, make sure to follow the American Communist Party on X at ACP Maine. Beautiful slogan, the slogan of ours: the future belongs to the working class. This was posted a couple days ago, yesterday actually. Comrades from ACP Illinois, they spent 10 hours doing community service. None of that mutual aid, anarchist shit. And no hate to the people that do it, but it's community service. We acknowledge that what we're trying to do is not create alternative communities based on mutual aid, but address the real objective communities that already exist, ingrain ourselves in them. A lot of the times, these people are already ingrained in them. All they're doing is now doing the same work that they've been probably doing for quite a while under the banner of the Communist Party. But address the fact that real communal bonds already exist in these places, and that there's needs that are not being served by local governments, by state governments, or by the federal government, that us, the people, the American Communist Party, can come in and provide for and serve the needs of our people. And things like cleanliness are important needs. Like it hurts you spiritually when you walk around a city that's dirty. It hurts you spiritually when you take your kids to this lakefront, which I'm not going to call beach, beachfront, I guess. Um, for those that know, there's a funny story about me and Lake Michigan that I'm not going to say to not ruin my own reputation. But it hurts the spirit when parents go to the beach with their kids and they see a bunch of trash laying around. What does it say about the people that are supposed to represent these communities when they allow trash to just be out there, polluting the areas, the social spaces where people go to have some family time, some community time, to stop thinking about the grueling, alienating, exploitative work that they engage in probably for the vast majority of the hours in their life. Why is it that these hours that we're supposed to be able to freely enjoy with our family, friends, with our communities, why do they have to be in places that are pervaded by trash? Why can't the working class experience beauty? Why is beauty something we try to reduce to museum experiences that cost $50 an entry? Um, let's make our communities beautiful. Let's make our communities clean. And this is what some of our comrades from the chapters that are already up and running, I believe there's 8. There's like 16 in the process of being processed. That should be good to go in the next few days. But here's ACP Illinois cleaning Lake Michigan. Here's the Communist Party, the American Communist Party of California, handing out clothes to people on Skid Row in Los Angeles. Roughly 100 people received clothes. Look, this is what serving the community is all about. I understand that people have perhaps rightful criticisms of uh, the lumpen proletariat, the dangerous class, as Marx and Engels used to call them, the sort of class that can get bought out by the highest bidder and be used as reactionary agents against the proletariat. They're the class that was often used to scab. They're the class that's often used to engage in petty crimes against working class leaders. I mean, go look at the fall of the great Black Panther Party. It was very sad that it was in part the sellability of some of the lumpen elements within the party that opened themselves up to working for the highest bidder, which of course at the time was the FBI, and betraying the people that were fighting for them and for all of America to have a more dignified, respectable, um, prosperous future. So I understand the lumpen is a class that, as a class, is not to be trusted. But these are also individual human beings that it's very likely that a lot of them fell into these situations through no faults of their own, especially in California. I mean, just consider the rents that people have to pay in order to survive. It's horrendous. And this is a condition that is not that far away from where the vast majority of Americans are. When you look at statistics that say that, anywhere from 60 to 80% of Americans are a lost paycheck away from homelessness, that means that the vast majority of America is one lost paycheck away from being in places like Skid Row. Let's say some of them have savings. It's not a lot of them. Remember that the vast majority of people, I think like 60%, don't have $1,000 saved up for any sort of emergency. So when you start thinking about it, this, yes, as a class, we've had this tradition in Marxism to think about them in a certain way, but as individuals, especially in a society where the proletariat has itself become um, so precarious in their conditions of existence. Um, these are our people. The vast majority of the American people are a couple steps away from ending up like this, and we have to serve them too. We have to serve them too. A lot of these people can be perfectly possibly lifted up into the proletariat. Um, we have members, of course, in the institute who are part of this lumpen class who transformed and have, transformed into the sorts of people that I would consider, because of my proximity to them, heroes for the working class movement, or people who will play indubitably the role of heroes for the working class struggle in the US. I think of someone like Professor Danny Shaw and Noah Krashivik, you know, both in leadership positions in the ACP. They have previous histories where they've been at some point in their life a part of the lumpen class, and they've been able to raise themselves out of that class position and not only be contributing members to society, but amongst the highest one can be as an individual, which is a communist. So, don't give up on a lot of these people. And this is what our comrades are showing. They're going out there, they're providing them with what they need in these interactions. They're showing these people that they're worthy, that they're seen. There's an element there, of course, of that Hegelian recognition that all of us as human beings require. There's nothing worse and dehumanizing than not being recognized. And a lot of these people that are forced to live in the streets, they see hundreds, thousands of people pass by them who can't even look them in the eyes, who can't even acknowledge their basic humanity, give them some basic form of recognition. But that's not us. That's not what the Communist Party is about. Not only do we acknowledge their humanity, not only do we look them in the eyes and speak to them as human beings, which they are, as brothers and sisters and fellow Americans, but we serve them. We give them some of the things that ideally a state would have been providing. Uh, but of course, it's not, because it's not a state that stands for the American people. It only serves the interests of big capital. So this is beautiful to see. This also dispels a lot of the stupid myths that the leftists who masquerade as Marxists, but in substance are actually deeply reactionary. This dispels a lot of the myths that have been spread by leftists about our glorious organization. Oh shit, our comrade Addison is here. What's up, Addison? How we doing, brother? He's going to be a great member of ACP in Dubuque, Iowa. I see a Spanish comment here. ¿Cuál es la postura del partido sobre Puerto Rico? For us, Puerto Rico should have its national autonomy. I understand that, poll after poll, it kind of is more popular statehood than sovereignty, but we think Puerto Ricans are their own people. And me as a Cuban, as someone whose country of birth has a long history rooted in solidarity with the Puerto Rican struggle, I can't think of a situation where we wouldn't fully support the struggle for Puerto Rican independence. So that's I know this is something that we haven't made official yet. Of course, all of these documents will be made official around the time of the first convention or shortly after. But in the conversations I've had with the executive board, all of us are in favor of Puerto Rican independence. And by the way, I'm going to start doing more content in Spanish. So make sure, if you speak Spanish, to look out for those. I'd also like to say, folks, to the 600 of you watching, friends, this sort of stuff is not going to show up in the algorithm of people who do not engage with this sort of politics. We're going to be Ethernet cable came off. Let me know if you see me okay. Let me know in the comments if everything's okay. My Ethernet cable popped off for a second there. Someone let me know in the comments. Don't be lazy. Let me know if you can hear me okay. 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 Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. What was I talking about? I'm going to start doing more content in Spanish. Make sure to look out for that if you speak Spanish. Also, remember that, these algorithms, they're very sinister things. These algorithms, they, by their very nature, what they promote is insularity. They promote people getting within these bubbles and staying within these bubbles. And that's no good. We need to reach a critical mass. If a year from now, these streams are only reaching the same, 2, 3, 4,000 people. We've lost. We got to grow. We need regular people who are not already communists to watch this content. So I ask you all, especially those that are in ACP, cadres in our great party, I ask you all to share these streams, not just our streams. When Haas streams on Kick, share those streams. When Jackson streams on Rumble, share those streams. When we're streaming on YouTube and Twitter and whatever else, share these streams. That is the only way people who aren't already in our orbit are going to be able to listen to what it is that we're talking about. And if you're listening to it already, that means that you probably see something somewhat valuable in it. Why not get it to your neighbors? Why not get it to your coworkers? Spread it around. Only you can break the insularity that these algorithms impose upon us. So help us do that. So here we have other videos from the actions that our party took in Skid Row. This is from Colorado. Comrades were cleaning up debris by the South Platte River and Cherry Creek Trail. There's another picture. Here's Comrade John Jackman. Everyone follow John Jackman on Twitter. Follow ACP Colorado. Follow ACP Maine. John Jackman, he's also part of the Institute, a geopolitical commentator, amongst the best that we have in our ranks. He was there with the people cleaning up, doing his job, serving the people. How are we going to be bold enough to say, we want to run for city council, we want positions in local governments? How are we going to strive for positions of political power if we haven't done the work of serving our people? You can't. You have to first serve the people, and not just first, so you always serve the people. You have to start by doing this sort of work, gain the people's confidence, gain their trust, be upstanding people in your communities. Only then are the conditions going to be created such that you can run for local office, and they'll be like, oh, that's the guy that cleans up the streets, that makes sure that, the condition I previously had where the streets were filled with bullshit and trash, that condition is no longer, that now the streets are clean. That's the guy that's always there for the community when the community needs them. When the local government isn't there, when the state government isn't there, when the federal government isn't there to help us, the communists were. John Jackman was, and the comrades from California were, and the comrades from Oregon and Illinois, they were all there to clean our public spaces. So this is essential work. It has to be conjoined, of course, with organizing in your workplaces. We're a party, unlike any party on the American left, that's mostly composed of blue-collar workers. That's something we are very proud of. Not unexpected, but it's something we are very proud to say. We've been able to process a few hundred applicants, and I'm happy to inform you all that the vast majority of working class people, and that community organizing has to be conjoined, of course, with workplace organizing, with talking to your coworkers, with being an upstanding leading member of your union, if you have one. If you don't have a union, seeing if the conditions are ripe to perhaps do something like the ALU did, the Amazon Labor Union. Be the next Chris Smalls. We need 1,000 Chris Smalls. Be the next Chris Smalls in your community. Be the next Chris Smalls. That's I would take 10 Chris Smalls over and above 100 Marxist intellectuals any day of the week. So serve your workplaces, be an upstanding member of your community, and everything else will fall into place. Trust the process. Trust the process. Without the hard work done, you're not going to be able to see results. And look, a lot of these leftist groups, their strategy has been, either not run any candidates and just serve the Democrats and claim victory for your party when you played literally no role in getting the Democrats to win. I'm sure you know what ex communist parties I'm talking about. Or, just run national candidates and, throw shit at the fan and see if you can win supporters through national campaigns for presidency. That's not the strategy of the ACP. We actually want power. We actually want to win. And the way we do that is building in these communities, serving the people, showing through our deeds, through our results, why it is that us communists are the only people that can embody in our work a dignified future for our people. And that has to have at first at least a very local component to it. So um, we will first be focusing on that local level, and as we build up, we'll start thinking about other larger contexts. But serve the people in your community, gain the people's trust, show what communists are actually like, and then the political component will naturally come about. Okay. As the ACP expands, will Midwestern Marx change its name to reflect its nationwide focus, perhaps American Marx Institute? It's a good question. The Midwestern Marx Institute is already not just Midwest. We have writers from all over the world. We have people writing to us, writing for us from India, from France, from literally all over the world. I kind of like that. What our name signifies is kind of the fact that we had a certain goal to hit, and very quickly we passed that goal. Like, for those that don't know the origin story, we kind of were just aiming 5 years ago to be a blog that could be influential locally in the spaces we were organizing in Dubuque. And within weeks, not even a month, it became very clear that our level of responsibility was going to be a hell of a lot higher. But we kept the name. We kept the name Midwestern Marx. It's the place where Eddie and myself formed ourselves politically. It's the heartland of America where the major industries used to be. And it's a place that I think has tremendous potential for radicalizing people into socialist consciousness, which isn't. I don't think it takes a whole lot. Like, the basic elements of socialism are already there in the people's common sense. It's about teasing those out. You got to remember this, especially for the ACP people listening. You're not going to be imposing new ideas onto people. That's not what you're doing. What you're doing is finding how, in the ideas that they already have, in the common sense that they have cultivated, there's already implicitly your Marxist ideas there. What you're doing is showing them, basically, that if they're consistent with what they believe, they should kind of think in a way that's very similar to yours. You should also remember that your goal is not to make everyone cadre. Your goal is not to make everyone a communist, but to posit yourselves through your successful deeds as someone that regular people can trust. It's not just about building cadre. We also need, along with cadre, the sympathetic mass. The sympathetic mass, the people that, when it comes down to go to the voting booth, will be voting for you. The people that, if there's a massive rally we want to organize, are going to go out there and support us. The people that are going to have our back, right? They don't have to be in the vanguard in the party, but they're going to have our back because they know we represent their interests, and not only have the desire to do so, but the capacity to realize it in action and to win. That's how we're going to gain the people's trust. Um, Thank you so much, Battle Cossacks, for the 50 Argentinian dollars. What do you think of the PSL's Vote Socialist 2024? Whoever wants to get involved in the elections, they have the right to, but I would not like to comment on the electoral efforts of another party. It's not my party. I'm in the American Communist Party, and I have utter faith in our party, and not a whole lot of faith in others. And look, man, if other parties want to ever, uh, join forces in one specific area, we have always had our hands open. It's always been the other side that has seen our open hand and said no. So I'll just put it like that. Um, I'm not gonna hate you if you vote for them. You know, do whatever you want. I couldn't care. Uh, I fundamentally don't care a whole lot about this election. Like, realistically, whoever wins between Trump and Kamala is just going to continue the genocide and very likely the proxy war against Russia. Trump's a wild card there. He has spoken a few times as if he's the guy that's going to bring about peace there. I don't know. We'll see. Like any other politicians, there's a whole lot of promises and not a lot of realizing of the promises. But um, yeah. Question about American Marxism with American characteristics. What role do indigenous economic and political structures play in our political concepts? It's a great question, Michael. The first set of forces that I outline in my book, Why We Need American Marxism, as being within the tradition out of which we're constructing consciously American Marxism, we're indigenous peoples. Those struggles are not disconnected from what America means. Those struggles are as formative to what it means to be American as the anti slavery struggles, as the anti imperialist struggles. They're essential struggles these communities had, as Henry Louis Morgan argued, a great American anthropologist. They had what he called communism in living. Communism in living. And a lot of the first settlers, especially the ones that were consistent with their ideas, people like Roger Williams and others, a lot of these people learned a whole lot from these indigenous communities and almost kind of structured their political formations in light of what they had learned. Even someone like Jefferson, who of course has a very ugly history with American expansionism and the treatment of the indigenous. There was Jeffersonian socialists who were reaching out to Jefferson, asking about what he thought about the extension of his democratic ideas onto something like socialism or communism, communalism. And Jefferson's reply to, I believe it was Cornelius Blatchley, was that, hey, I don't disagree with it. I see it in the indigenous communities. I don't necessarily think it's something that's going to work nationwide, though. It might work just locally. So, of course, it's you can't divorce these indigenous struggles from the larger struggles for the people, struggles against capital and imperialism from the rest of the country. John Freeze, thank you so much, comrade, for the $5 super chat. I consider myself a Buddhist communist. I'm curious how the Cuban government relates to religious groups like Santeria and Catholics. Well, it's a very loaded question. Cuba, at first, as following the footsteps of some of the policies of the Soviets, were somewhat hostile to religion. But the question is, what sort of religion were they hostile to? What sort of church were they hostile to? And they were primarily hostile to the church that was hiding and aiding and abetting the fascistic, dictatorial Batista forces, where they saw the employment of what's called La Iglesia de los Pobres, the church of the poor, the church that represents, I think, the essence of Christianity, which is the uplifting of the poor and, a very socialist message. Where they saw that, they were perfectly compatible with it. They haven't gone as far as some other socialist states in promoting it, but um, there's explicit quotes from Fidel where he's like, basically, if you're a Christian, you kind of have to be a communist because that's what. And it's not just Christians, it's all of the religions of the prophets, all of the Abrahamic religions. If you really get to the pith of the social message behind them, they're fully incompatible with capitalism. They're fully incompatible with capitalism. There's a lot of explicit denunciations of usury, which is the primary form of accumulation in our fully financialized capitalist imperialism. So if you are aligned with any of the Abrahamic traditions, there's literally no reason why you shouldn't be a communist. And this is a quote that Zhuganov recently, he was interviewed in a church, and he said, if you're a person of faith, you have to be a communist, and if you're a communist, you got to have faith. So, um, relationship to Cuba is somewhat similar. I have somewhere behind me, right here, a very important book. If you want to learn about Cuba and religion, it's called Fidel and Religion by Frei Beto, Brazilian theologian. And it's a series of interviews that he did with Fidel on the question of religion. And he talks about how formative religion was in his development into being a communist. So, as far as Santeria is something that everyone does, but no one talks about it. So I haven't seen a whole lot of people do it. It's something that I myself used to do when I was younger. It's just embedded in the culture. And it's kind of like that Niels Bohr story that Zizek always gives, where he puts the horseshoe in front of the ranch, and his quantum physics buddy asks him, like, "Why? What are you doing? Why do you have that superstitious thing up there?" And he says, I did it primarily because I was told that it works even if you don't believe in it." And that's kind of where Cubans are at with Santeria. I don't think a whole lot of them like believe in it very deeply, but they still act as if they believe in it. Um, and shit, man, if I see fruits wrapped up with a red tie on the under a tree in the corner of a street, I'm not looking. I'm not getting close to it. So I don't believe in it. But I still sometimes act as if I do. So that's I hope that satisfies. Thank you again, comrade, for the $20 super chat. ER Silva, what's up, comrade? Saludos de Texas. I'm out here in Texas too. So salutes to you. Thank you so much for the huge $20 super chat. Get involved in ACP if you're not already. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for the $2 super chat. Can a party be both a left and right deviation? Um, Wikipedia for a period of time thought we were, but that's fundamentally misunderstanding what left and right is. Historically, left means those forces that stand on the side of progress, of moving history forward, of moving humanity closer and closer to freedom, of developing the productive forces. And the right was the opposite. The right were the people that wanted to fetter the development of history. You cannot have a party that, as a party, as a whole, is both left and right. The problem is that we have come to think about left and right as what positions people have on cultural issues, such that with that framework, unlike issues of gender, the Communist Party of the Russian Federation is right wing, and the Republican Party, or elements of it, is left wing, because they might be more conservative than the than the Democrats, but on some of these issues, they're with this framework of right or left. They're to the left of communists from around the world. So that's a completely erroneous way of thinking about left and right. It is only on that basis that you can say, well, they have people that are conservatives and they have people that are liberals on social issues. Therefore it's a far left and far right party. That's bullshit. Does your party stand for progress? Does your party want to push history forward? Does it want to destroy the imperialist institutions and built on their place, people's institutions of the working class? Or does your party want to pretend like it's fancy and leftist by accepting all of this, woke leftist ideology on various cultural issues, but still endorse the ruling hegemonic institutions and function as a fetter for the development of history. I don't care how leftist they call themselves and how much they posture in line with what it means to be leftist in the US. They're objectively rightist. They're objectively on the right if they serve the forces of hegemony, which doesn't just have to be done directly. It could be a sort of indirect service. Lukács, of course, talked about indirect apologetics being the principal form. He talks about it in this book. We just covered it in our class a couple weeks ago, The Destruction of Reason. He talks about indirect apologetics being the dominant form of apologetics after 1848, when it becomes clear that the capitalist class is no longer a progressive historical class, when it's outlived its moment of being a progressive class and becomes conservative or reactionary. Apologetics of the system has to take a different form. It has to take the form of critique. So there's a whole lot of people that postulate as leftists, that crossplay as leftists, but their political substance is rightist because they support the ruling institutions directly or indirectly. And you indirectly support the institutions of the hegemonic order when you condemn people who are the most successful in fighting against it. If you condemn the work that the ACP does, that the Institute does, that Infrared does, that Jackson Hinkle does, if you condemn their work at such a sensitive conjuncture, such as the one that we're in, you are indirectly serving the forces of hegemony. You can put as many pronouns as you want on your Twitter profile. You can put as many pride flags as you want on your Twitter profile. You can call yourself as leftist as you want. But if you're delegitimizing, condemning, attacking, hoping for the killing of and kidnapping of the people that are the most successful in the medias, which is the most important ideological field of struggle for the war of positions. If you condemn us, I don't care how leftist you pretend to be. If you condemn us, if you condemn people like Hinkle, like most of these fucking leftists were in the last week or two that we were in Venezuela, they're actively serving the forces of reaction. They're actively serving the forces of hegemony. They're actively on the right. That's the paradox. They think they're very leftist and hip because they fully accept the cultural ideas of the liberal wing of the ruling class. And then they fight against us because, some people have made perhaps somewhat insensitive comments and or they hold the more conservative view on cultural affairs. And they think that makes them leftists. That doesn't. That makes them leftists perhaps in the American context. But that doesn't make them left objectively with what it means to be on the left from the French Revolution. They're not standing on the side of the forces of progress. They're standing on the side of reaction. They're functioning as indirect agents of the apologetics of the ruling system when they attack us. So no, there can't both be a party that's left and right deviation. Let's see. Okay. Kamala Harris, huh? What an interesting figure. Very popular. You guys remember in the Democratic primaries in 2020 when she was getting most of the support from the Democratic base? Oh, wait, that never happened. She was maybe at 3%. But now she's going to be president or presidential candidate because there's no way Trump's losing this year. But let's listen into what this video that went viral, let's listen into what she says.
He intends to surrender our fight against the climate crisis, and he intends to end the Affordable Care Act. You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that. Otherwise, I'm speaking.
There's Karen. Yeah. Okay, so that has had liberals drooling for the last like 2 days. And you guys know who she was reacting to? She was reacting to protesters that were pro-Palestine protesters. So the liberal boss girl move that the liberals are now applauding and drooling over was literally done to people who were protesting the role that she and her party has played in funding and equipping a genocide that has murdered, in some estimates, hundreds of thousands of people, almost 200,000 people. Because there was that recent report that came out that 186,000 people have died so far in Gaza. So it's girl boss to protest the people protesting the role you have played in this ongoing genocide. That is the epitome of liberal feminism. That is the epitome of what's called left in the US. We're going to continue doing genocide. We're going to continue funding it. But now we're going to put historically marginalized communities at the head of it. And we're also going to do the little girl boss mannerisms. We're going to go like this when we do it. And we're going to stare people down when we do it. That's progress. That's progress to these people. That's progress. Is to put a black woman as a presidential candidate who is going to whitewash genocide. That's progress. They want to call that black liberation. And it spits on the face of the glorious black freedom movement, which has been at the forefront of class struggles here in the US. It's completely ridiculous. It's disgusting. It's stomach turning that people are applauding this. It's completely disgusting. And folks, there's not going to be a change in policy. There's not. There might be more sinister attempts to whitewash the things that they're doing, but there's not going to be a change in policy. The genocidal administration of Joe Biden, if it comes into power with the form of Kamala Harris, is going to continue the status quo of supporting genocide, just as Trump will probably do so. There we go. Sergey's right. Two sides of the same coin, or as George Galloway puts it, two cheeks of the same ass. It's the same, it's the same ass. End of the day, it's the same ass, and we're still getting shit on. What do I care which cheek is the dominant one? It's the same ass, and I'm still gonna get shit on. That's what it is. That's American politics. This is American freedom, guys. This is what American freedom is. You get to choose. Do you want the left ass cheek or do you want the right ass cheek? You're still going to get pooped on, but you get to choose which ass cheek the turd bounces off of before it hits your fucking forehead. That's American freedom. That's American freedom. The genocide keeps going, but we're going to put historically marginalized communities at the helm of it so that a bunch of fucking liberal idiots applaud it and treat it as a girl boss moment. This is wokeism. This is when we say wokeism, this is what we're referring to. This is what we're referring to. It's the sort of woke washing of the most heinous and evil things produced by American imperialism and capitalism. That's wokeism. That's wokeism right there. Having a girl boss moment as a reply to people protesting a literal fucking genocide. A literal genocide. That's the party that the old defunct Communist Party before it got reconstituted as the ACP. That's the party that they want you to support. Those are the people that they get butterflies when they listen to. Oh my God, how powerful! How powerful! Did you see her? Did you see that stare? Did you see her stare? The fuck out of here. You're a genocidal war criminal. And if you were fucking tried in the Nuremberg trials, you'd be guilty. And you'd either be rotting in a fucking jail cell or worse. And that's what these people are. They're criminals. They're criminals. She might be wearing a white suit, but her politics, the party she supports, is dripping in red, in the blood of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, in the blood of hundreds of thousands of people who have died in a senseless proxy war against Russia. There's people that have been conscripted that want nothing to do with the Zelensky regime, with the fascistic Zelensky regime, that have been conscripted and thrown into areas like Bakhmut, where the average survival time is 4 fucking hours. Our friend, ACP Politburo member Slava, she knows people who with Down syndrome who have been thrown into the fronts to be slaughtered in the fucking meat grinder of war. So you can wear all the white suits you want. You're dripping in red. You're spiritually dead. You're a cancer on humanity. As Marx said of capitalism at the end of Capital, Volume 1, you come dripping from head to foot in blood and dirt. I don't care how much you masqueraded with a white suit. You're a criminal. And Biden's a criminal. And all these people are fucking criminals. None of these people represent the American people. None of the things that they do is in the interest of the American people. Not one. Not one fucking people. These people are traitors. They are traitors to the American people. They do not represent the interests of the American people. They represent foreign interests of people who have no nation, who have no people to respond to, whose only goal in life is accumulating more capital, seeing that number in their bank account go up and up and up and up. An increase that's premised on making all of us poor, on making all of us more indebted, more enslaved to debts we'll never be able to pay back. That's who these fucking scum represent. And you'll catch me dead before I'm in a voting booth voting for these fucking criminals. I'm sorry, folks. I don't give a fuck about Tim Waltz or whatever his name is. I don't care about the photo ops he's done with kids. I really don't care. When he's supporting policies that are murdering tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Palestinian children, he is a war criminal. That's where I draw the red line. The red line is genocide. The red line is imperialism. And there's motherfuckers that have the audacity to call us national chauvinists. They're the national chauvinists. Read your fucking Lenin. If you're going to use words, know what the fuck they mean. National chauvinists are the people that for crumbs given to their national working class, they support imperialism. They support the murder and the slaughter of millions of people. They're the national chauvinists. We're just the fucking communists. We're the real Marxist-Leninists. Because we say to that form of politics that says, hey, we got to vote for Kamala Harris, or hey, we got to vote for Trump because it's going to be, less stressful for the American people. It's still going to continue the slaughter of people abroad, but it's going to be a little better for the American people. Fuck that. Fuck that. We're not voting for genocidal criminals. We're not. That's not what we're in the business of doing. We're not going to expend the energy of hundreds or thousands of young cadre seeing a futureless future in front of them and ready to fight with no other option but fighting. We're not going to expend their energy by getting them to canvass for the fucking Democrats, by getting them to go to the polls for the fucking Democrats. We're not going to do that. You know why? Because we're actually fucking communists. Because we're not going to sell out the interests of working and oppressed people abroad with fucking bombs landing over their heads. kids being murdered with our tax dollars, with our money, with our fucking government. We're not going to sell the interests of those people out just so that we can have a couple of more things that we're not even guaranteed. Because half of the shit that Biden promised the American people, he didn't even fucking give us. Where are those policies that he claimed were going to support our working class? Where are those policies that he claimed was going to support poor people? None of them have been realized. People are, like myself, are still drowning in debt. I'm $100,000 in debt. For what? What was my fucking crime? Wanting to be educated? Wanting to be a productive member of society? Wanting to be cultured? That was my fucking crime. I got the highest level scholarships. I never got a fucking A minus. I never got one A minus in 9 years of post high school university studies. Never got one fucking A minus. Had the highest scholarships. No one gives a fuck. I'm still $100,000 in debt. And I'm supposed to start families like this. Get the fuck out of here. What are they giving us? They're not giving us nothing. And if they did, I still wouldn't care. You know why? Because they're still doing what the fuck they're doing abroad. For a couple more dollars on my fucking food stamp card, I'm not going to give the thumbs up to genocide. You can forget about it. You can fucking forget about it. In case you wanted to throw up, and that wasn't enough, this person says, this video perfectly encapsulates the heart of American liberalism. Vapid, self-indulging, self-obsessed idealization of aesthetics and the immaterial, and just bad taste all around. Get ready for this. Have a bucket next to you. I almost threw up when I saw this. Have a bucket next to you. There you go, folks. That's freedom. Freedom is supporting a candidate that backs a genocide, but at least gay men are able to dress like pink cowgirls and party in a fucking bar. That's freedom, folks. That is freedom. That's freedom. That's American freedom. That's the freedom our state promises. You can support a genocide, killing hundreds of thousands of fucking innocent kids. You can support a war where we're giving hundreds of billions of our dollars to Nazis to throw innocent people into a fucking meat grinder with more than 500,000 dead. You can support that. You can do all of that with the people's money as our cities are destroyed, as once industrial powerhouse cities are plagued by rusted ruins of what it once was, once decent working class communities. Now you have a bunch of fucking zombified people walking around high as shit, just looking for the next fucking dope hit. As the country fucking crumbles, you're going to send hundreds of billions of fucking dollars to Nazis carrying forth a genocide. But at least gay people can still dance dressed as cowgirls in a fucking bar. That's freedom. Folks, that's freedom. That's the promise of American liberalism. It's bullshit. It's bullshit, and you all know it. It's fucking bullshit. As Dioniso Yupanqui, Peruvian indigenous lawyer, said in the Cortes de Cádiz, 1812, a people that oppresses another cannot themselves be free. We have attributed the quote to Engels and Lenin and Marx, but it was an indigenous Peruvian lawyer who said it first. None of that is freedom. I don't care how free you think you are. because of how free you can be sexually in bars or wherever the fuck you want to do your things. It's not freedom because it's premised on literal fucking genocide, on dead bodies, on dead babies. That's not real fucking freedom. It's not real fucking freedom. And insofar as you continue to prioritize your subjective ability to do whatever the fuck you want and be promiscuous over and above the lives of millions of people that are being destroyed by imperialism, by our fascistic imperialist war machine. Insofar as you continue to support that because of what it provides for you as an individual, you, sir, you, ma'am, are in the forces of reaction. You're scum. You're complicit in these genocides. You're complicit because you give it the thumbs up because it lets you, one side of them lets you go out and party and be free and express yourself. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. It's tens of millions of people that are affected by this. We can't just look at the people that have died. Yes, 186,000 Palestinians have died in Gaza, but it's a whole people. 2.3 million affected because everyone knows someone who has died. Everyone has family members who have died. Whole families have been fucking wiped out. And you want to sit here and support the party that has done it because you get to be promiscuous in bars and openly gay. Get the fuck out of here. That's national chauvinism. That's putting your interests to be however the fuck open you want to be over and above the lives of people abroad. That's the real national chauvinism. Every family in that region of the world is affected by what's being done to the Palestinians. It's not just, it's very easy just to look at the numbers of people who have died. It's not just those numbers. It's the millions that are affected by it. The millions, the hundreds of thousands of mothers that have to go to sleep knowing that their sons were just blown up, that their daughters were just massacred. It's the fathers who have to hold in their arms their dead 2-year-olds. How can you look at this as a parent? How can you look at this and say, yeah, I'm going to support a party just because I might have a little more on my food stamp card? How? How can you support those images? What we're doing with our money, with the people's money, how can you support it? I have a 2-year-old. You know how many images have broken me down, completely fucked up my whole day? Of fathers in Gaza carrying their dead kid, the same age of mine. And you want me to go vote for the party doing it just because you got some bullshit girl boss shit going on? Just because it gives false security to gay people being able to be open in a bar or whatever the fuck? Which all of that is exaggerated, I think. The vast majority of the American people are not as bigoted as the people that want us divided make you think. Most people are just tolerant and acceptant. You can be however the fuck you want to be. It's fine. I'm not doing it. I'm not supporting these animals. And you shouldn't either. You shouldn't either. You're not just an indifferent party. It's with your tax money that they do this. You have a specific responsibility. It's the same fucking fight. The same people that blow up kids, that leave orphans and childless parents. The same people that have made the lives of Palestinians be surrounded by trauma such that PTSD doesn't even make sense because everyone has PTSD from the moment they're born. It's those same people that keep you poor, that keep you indebted, that keep you desperate, that keep you alienated, that keep you depressed and anxious, that pump you with a bunch of bullshit commercials to try to make you as much of a consumer of bullshit things as you possibly could be. It's the same enemy. You're in the same fight. Don't let any idiot fool you into thinking that just because one side of this criminal ruling class is in favor of gay rights, supposedly, of women's rights, supposedly, because they could have ratified Roe v. Wade and they never fucking did it. They just used them as political footballs to tell you, hey, the Republicans are coming for it. Vote for us. And they never fucking ratify anything. Because they know that all they have to get you to vote for them is the fact that they're not the Republicans. That's all they have. And that's all the other side has too. All the other side has is the fact that, they're not Democrats. And then in substance, the main political footballs that they use to divide us, neither side wants to actually fight for what they say they want to fight. What would happen if the Democrats actually ratified women's rights, women's reproductive rights? What would happen? What about 2028? What the fuck are they going to run on? Nothing. What would happen if the Republicans actually did something about migration? What the fuck are they going to do in 2028? Nothing. Both sides benefit from using these issues as political footballs to divide the American people while they continue to rob us dry. You have to be stupid to think that the Democrats actually want to guarantee the reproductive rights of women. You have to be stupid to think that the Republicans, who are backed up by the sort of capitalist interests that benefit from exploiting over and above the labor of undocumented migrants. You have to be stupid to think that the people raking in the loot from paying immigrant workers less are going to do something about the border. Get out of this duopoly. It's what Hegel called the spurious dialectic. A back and forth. A constant, infinite back and forth. A spurious infinity. Get out of it. Get out of it. Now there's an alternative. If you're committed, if you're dedicated, if you have discipline, and if you want to serve the people, if you don't look down on the people, if you don't care whether in the last election they voted for one side or the other or not at all, but the fact that they're working people suffering and looking for alternatives, now you have a party you can join. It's called the American Communist Party. You can join it, or you can support it through other means. You can be a sympathetic follower of the party. Now there's an alternative. There's no reason to support these scum. No reason at all. Thank you so much, Red Maze. Carlos, Midwestern Marx is still friends with Anticonquista. My suggestion may be a collab with Ramiro for those Spanish content videos you wanted to make. Sorry to interrupt you. Keep cooking. Peace. Ramiro got kicked out of Anticonquista because he was not willing to condemn Kayla Papuchet, who's a writer for the Institute, on the article that she did for us on patriotism. And at the same time, the people that founded Anticonquista were literally kicked out by newer people. This fucking Colombian guy that lives in London, who LARPs as a POC, he booted Kayla, he booted Ramiro, he booted Danny Shaw. He booted Danny Shaw just for being white. Danny Shaw was in Haiti, covering the protests in Haiti. Shit was going down. Bullets were flying past his ears. And woke motherfuckers were kicking him out because he's white. If there's someone whose skin and whose essence as a human being do not match up, who might look white but in substance is not, it's fucking Danny Shaw. But they kicked him out because he wasn't white. And I think they also kicked out Ramiro, who I was with in Venezuela. So Anticonquista is one thing. Ramiro's a whole nother thing. I would love to continue working with Ramiro, but I think he's focusing on his work outside of the medias. The Anticonquista people, those people came after us 3 years ago, I think, when Kayla's article came out. They told everyone to unfollow us. that we were racist, chauvinists, all this other bullshit that has become just a regular recourse of criticism of the Institute and now ACP and Infrared and all our friends in this new orbit. Long ago, they asked people to condemn us. We never replied. Most of the people that have condemned us, we don't reply. When have we ever gone out of our way to criticize other people and condemn other people on the so-called left? Whenever we've done it, it's always been as a reply. And that's the amount of people that we reply to is maybe 1%. If you guys knew the amount of public figures and groups and all these things that slander us behind our back, that try to get people not to work with us, that try to poison the well for us, that lie about us, verifiable things that lie about us, and we don't say anything. We stay shut. We're very quiet. You know why? Because we like to focus on the ideas. We want to be better than these people. These people want to reduce things to petty squabbles and behind the back shit chat and doing that sort of thing and lying. We're not going to play their game. We'll win our people the correct way by showing our people that we're actually committed to what we say we are. By having the sort of ideas that represent the people. And if we ever fucked up, correcting. We've corrected in the past. I did a stream where I said I was kind of hopeful for RFK. In the first month, he was a serious candidate. He was anti the proxy war in Ukraine, anti the deep state institutions. I was like, well, he might be an honest liberal. And I was wrong. I said I was wrong. He ended up being a raging fucking Zionist scum. What are you going to do? How many of our haters have come out and said they're wrong? How many of our haters? The people that have been saying for years, oh, it's just the online thing. It's just the online thing. I don't know what the fuck they are. I don't see them doing a whole lot of things. But now that we're serving communities around the country, now that we're being hosted by socialist states, now that we're shaking hands with communist leaders from around the world who look upon us hopefully as the hope for America, the people that can actually destroy the empire and lift the fucking boot that our empire has put on their necks, allow their struggles to develop peacefully. Now that all of this is documented online, what do these fucking people say? Oh, it's just a photo op. These people will never be happy. They're spiteful, resentful people at heart. These people are guided by resent. It's ressentiment. They are incapable of reaching the masses of people. They have been around for decades and have done nothing. And then they see these young kids who, because they understand how the media work, have been able to reach literal millions. And what do they say? It can't be true. They have to be propped up by the feds. They have to be propped up by the feds. It can't be true. Don't you know Eddie's an FBI agent? The poorest one I've ever fucking heard of, but don't you know Hinkle's a CIA? Don't you know Hinkle's propped up by the fucking institutions of the deep state? It's just resentment. It's just resentment. These people are mad that we're fucking winning, that we can reach more people than they can, that the respect we garner from international entities, respectable countries, respectable communist parties, has already surpassed in a week what they've been able to do for fucking 20 to 70 years. That's why they're mad. They're mad because they're impotent, and because they can't get to our level, they want to destroy it. It's the story of the fox and the sour grapes. The fox is jumping and jumping and jumping, and the fox can't get the grapes. And what does the fox do? The fox says, they're probably sour anyways. These motherfuckers can't do half of the shit we've fucking done in a couple years with no fucking money, because all of us are broke as shit. And because they can't fucking do it, they say, these people are feds. These people are this. They're that. Get the fuck out of here. You, the people, you, the listener, who's not involved in none of these fucking idiots groups, or who doesn't have as much skin as the leaders who have come out publicly saying all of these libel and lies about us. You're going to watch. You're going to see what the ACP is all about. You're going to see how these people have lied to you. Bro, they literally fucking said that Hinkle was detained by the Venezuelan authorities for being a CIA agent. Thousands of these fucking leftists liked it. Prominent ones, too. Sharing it. And what was Hinkle doing at that time? The Venezuelan government was protecting him from Colombian militias that were hired to kill him or kidnap him at the behest of you-know-who. Who do these Colombian militias serve? Well, the people that formed them, the people that financed them, the U.S. It's literally turning the world on its fucking head, folks. And you're seeing it. You're seeing it. That's why, critique us. If there's things you disagree, critique us. But recognize that the people that are our ops, the people that have sworn war on us, that they're a bunch of fucking liars. And their lies are based on resentment. That's what you have to fucking recognize. The man is literally getting protected by the government and the highest levels of government, protected from CIA attackers, and the left in the US goes viral saying that he's CIA and that the government was the one that fucking arrested him. That is the perfect archetype of these scum leftists. That is the perfect archetype. Turning the world on its head. Turning the world on its head. And so they can post as many pronouns as they want on their fucking bios. They can post as many pride flags. They can post as many hammers and sickles. They can post the flag of the DPRK. They can do whatever the fuck they want. When they attack the only people that are successful at getting the truth out there, at bringing an anti-imperialist message to the masses, they are reactionary. They're objectively on the right. They're performing indirect apologetics. They're what I've called a controlled form of counter-hegemony. It's counter-hegemonic, but it doesn't get anywhere. It's controlled. The deep state wants people to go to them. The deep state doesn't want people to come to us. That's the truth. And it's because of our message. It's because our message is rooted in actually caring about what the fuck the people think and actually connecting to the people's common sense. And not like this fucking chick. The fuck is her name? Suki's mom. Let me show you guys something. Let me show you guys something. This is, I know, one individual. But this is the spirit of the American left. Let me see where the fuck it is. This is the spirit of the American left. I wonder if they brought it down. Look at this, guys. Look at this. This is a fairly big account. Almost 80,000 followers. This was their post. I hate Americans. Of course, America with the K. Remember what Parenti used to say about that. I hate Americans. I hate Americans. How the fuck do you expect to reach regular people in your country, which are Americans, with a message that's rooted in I hate you? I hate you. Join us. That's what they're saying. That's their message. I hate you. Join us. They should put it on a banner. I hate you. Join us. I know that's an extreme case, but that is the substance of national nihilism. All of the people that reject U.S. history, that reject our people, that look down, that spit down on our people, that look down on them condescendingly, that's the substance of their message. And then they wonder why they fail. And then they wonder why they just have these insular spaces of the same fucking people circle jerking and just talking to themselves. And then they have the audacity when we say, no, we're not doing that. We're doing what every other successful communist has done in the past. We're doing what the Communist Party when it was actually a communist party did in the past and when it was successful. We're going to root ourselves in the common sense of our people and not alienate ourselves from our people. We're going to root ourselves in the traditions that our people already have at the level of common sense, so that socialism is not presented as this foreign thing that McCarthyism told them it was, but so that socialism is presented as something that comes from their own legacies and traditions, as something that's very American, to look for lack of a better word. When we do that and we succeed, they're surprised. Wow, who would have known connecting to the people is going to work better than saying, I hate you, come join us? Who would have fucking known? Who would have fucking known? And then because we succeed, because guys, yes, Hinkle has the 2.7 million on Twitter. But have you forgotten what we did on TikTok? Have you forgotten that before anyone grew their account, within 8 months, we had 500,000 people on TikTok? They had to ban us. They had to ban us 7 times. Where would our original TikTok account be? Would it not be in the millions? Would it not be in the millions? If it had even a fraction of the growth that it was having, it would have had maybe 10 million, maybe more. How many tens, hundreds of millions of Americans would have educated themselves? Was that propped up by the CIA too? Huh? Was that propped up by state institutions, motherfucker? These people are not serious. These people are not serious. What they're concerned about is their identities, their little social cliques. They're what I've called identity socialists or monastery socialists. That's how the purity fetish looks in political practice. Social groups. Social groups. Many social groups. Struggle, no struggle, but a lot of social groups. And then, of course, attack the people that are actually struggling, the people that are actually reaching a critical mass. Folks, we were in Venezuela. All of the speeches Maduro gave talked about Twitter and Musk. Why is that, folks? Is it because it doesn't matter? It's not real, it's online? No! It's because it fucking matters! It influences how people see things. This is prophilicity. People see things today through second-order observation. The way that they come to pass judgments on things is mediated through how the general peer is passing judgments on it. So if you are an average Joe or Jane and you want to pass, you want to have an idea of what you think about Venezuela and the elections, you're going to go online and you're going to see, what are people saying? What are people saying? And the impression you get from what people are saying is how you begin to form your judgment on it. So if you have a Twitter that only has Musk and all these right-wing scum, fascistic, terroristic scum, the only opinion people are going to have is that. But when you have an ACP that went viral with my picture shaking Diosdado Cabello's hand, when you have a Jackson Hinkle that posted 20 times more than any of the biggest leftist organization. I don't have to say their name. You guys know it. What's the biggest media group? What's the biggest media group of the left? What's the biggest media group of the left? Take the posts that they were making about Venezuela and compare those to Jackson's. Compare those to at the ACP one. They made a fraction of the post and got maybe 1/30th of the views and likes. The only people that were competing in terms of rhetoric, the war of position in the medias, the only people that were competing with the fascistic scum of the far right and the imperialists like Musk were us. So if you attack us, who are you serving? Who's your master? You might not call them daddy, but they're still your master if you're fighting their opponent. If you're fighting the only people challenging, their hegemony over the medias. You might not call them daddy, but they're your masters. They're the people you're serving. And that's true. That's why they fail. Thank you, Comrade Red Maze, for another $20 super chat. Thank you, Comrade. Lawn Guy 1990, thank you for the $5 super chat. These critics, when do they do anything productive, build anything? All they do is criticize and say, vote for Democrats. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? If you don't like us, if you hate us, then do better. Have you ever thought about that? Have you guys ever thought about that? If you hate us so much, if you think we're so wrong in how we are communist in America, if you think we're so wrong, do better. Do better. If you hate Jackson, well, just have one of the cadres in your organization have the sort of narrative that 2.7 million people can identify with. You know what's crazy? It's the weirdest forms of white supremacism I've ever seen. The sort of white supremacism that when you go to Venezuela and you meet with African leaders, Chinese leaders, Vietnamese leaders, leaders from Latin American countries, they all know you and admire your work, but you're a white supremacist. I wonder how many African comrades admire the work of David Duke, you know? How many of our comrades from Latin America admire the work of David Duke? For some reason, they all know Jackson and admire their work. A lot of them knew the Institute, admired our work. A whole lot of them heard about ACP and were happy about it. Why is it that you, American leftists, why do you have to hate us so much when all we've done is extend a hand? Especially us at the Institute. From the start, we have wanted to work with everyone. And if there's anyone that we haven't worked with, it's because the hand that we have extended has received a no from the other hand. And we have the receipts. So if it ever comes down to it, we have the receipts. We can show it. That's why they're the ones with the purity fetish. They hate us. They don't want to work with us. They think we're imperfect. Okay. That's fine. Let them. Thank you so much, MD. Hey, man, I'm a new follower. Can you address Twitter claims about ACP pushing their own cryptocurrency? It's false. It's all false. We addressed it in a post as soon as it came out. What happens is that people hate us, and any ridiculous thing like this, I'm trying to find the post to share it with you all. I guess the post, we didn't make an official post, but all of us made posts about it. Jackson, Haas, the Institute. It's fake. It has nothing to do with us. We don't have any fucking cryptocurrencies. We have a blockchain technology for the website and for clubs and all of that, but that has nothing to do with cryptocurrency. Those are people that are trying to make money off of the wave that ACP made when it launched. It has nothing to do with us. And then what do the leftists, as good liars, do? They end up saying, oh my God, ACP is a cryptocurrency scam. That's another example, besides the Venezuela one, of how they literally twist the world on its head. People who try to take advantage of our success do a cryptocurrency, and then the leftists end up saying that we're a cryptocurrency scam. How wonderful. How wonderful. How beautiful. These people are great. Thank you so much, Lawn Guy, again, for the $5 super chat. There's a psychological thing after the Bernie loss where nobody wants to try again. They are paralyzed by fear of failure. Why live like this? You know, I think that's true for a lot of people, but we're in a different moment politically. We're in a very different moment politically. In 2016, the discontent that already existed in the American masses, there was two people that would come to channel it and give it some sort of positive project. Trump with the MAGA movement and Bernie with his movement. 8 years after, it is evident that these were both false alternatives, that these were ways of presenting a dissident politics which in substance just gives another form to the status quo. These were false prophets. And it's good that the prophets have been smashed. It's good that the prophets have been smashed. It gives us a heightened sense of awareness and understanding of the struggle, our place in it, and what the object of our fight actually is. So today, I think, yes, the Democratic Socialist movement, the Bernie movement, it's done. DSA is completely imploding. All of the candidates they had elected are losing. Okay, fine. All this means is that the stage has been set for a genuinely dissident politics, which is us. The Social Democrats, the fascists, all of those are options capital has at its disposal, especially in moments of crisis. You know who capital actually is scared of? Communist. That's the real alternative politics. It's communist. So when the Democratic Socialists fail, when the MAGAs fail, fine. We're here. We're going to go to those disaffected masses that were convinced by MAGA, that were convinced by Bernie, that are now disillusioned, to the people who weren't convinced by either and were just apolitical, which is around 40 to 50% of the country. We're going to go to all of them and say, this is the future. We're the ones that represent you. We're not going to just tell you, we're going to show you. We're going to actually serve you, serve the community. We have a message. Here it is, it's kind of messianic. There's something messianic to it. Like, we do have a message. We have a message of good news. And Haas, I like how Haas puts it. We bring good news. We're like the ELO, Electric Light Orchestra. Here is the news coming to you every hour on the hour. What's the news? It's ACP. ACP is the news. It's an organization that serves as an organization, as a messianic force. We're here to get the job done, to serve you, to win. There's so many comments. I can't go through these. Thank you, Eric. $2 super chat. Joe showed up. Our Kamala and what's here? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Idea Spirit. Forget doing better. Do something. 10 years and all we have is Good Morning Revolution. Good Morning Revolution is the highest level of Marxist theory anyone can acquire. It's real deep stuff that are discussed on that wonderful program. By the way, for the people that don't understand, that's called sarcasm. Joey! I have so much respect for Joey. Joey has lost 130 pounds, and that takes discipline. That takes cojones. We come from the future to tell the working class they can liberate themselves. Absolutely. Guys, I said it last stream. We should be, when people interact with us, it should be as if they entered a portal. Like fucking Narnia. Did you guys watch Narnia back in the day? It's like fucking Narnia. Instead of like a fantasy line, it's the future. We show people what the future is like. That's what communists should be like. That's what ACP members should be like. However much service of the people you're doing now, do more. However much studying you're doing now, do more. Do more. Be more disciplined. Have a better work ethic. Do more. And guys, yes, you're doing it for the party. Yes, you're doing it for the revolution and for the people. But do it for yourself. You're going to be happier when you're a better person. This is the basis of Aristotle's ethics. I teach this shit, you know? The Nicomachean Ethics. People don't know that it's a book. It's almost like a guide to life that he writes to his son. There's different stories. The one I like the most is that it's a guide to life he writes to his son. And the basic premise is, if you want real, genuine happiness, eudaimonia, flourishing, fulfillment, you have to be virtuous. Virtue, that's what achieves genuine fulfillment in life. And what we're asking ACP members to be, what we're asking communists to be, is virtuous. Embody in your very being a form of communist virtue. The Chinese are doing it as well. There's a lot of Chinese developing a form of virtue ethics, a communist virtue ethics. We have to be the people from the future, as they used to say of Che Guevara. They used to say that Che Guevara, Fidel, he was a man from the future. You have to try to be that too. You have to try to be that too. Thank you so much, American Bolshevik. Carlos, keep up the good work, man. Viva ACP. Long live the ACP, brother. An imperialist state in the middle of a crisis of legitimacy crumbling does these sorts of fucking things. This is Scott Ritter. We've had him on the program before. Great mind, real patriot. Let's listen to what happened to him.
All right, as you guys have figured out, the FBI executed a search warrant at my residence. The search warrant is related to concerns apparently the U.S. government has about violations of the Foreign Agent Registration Act. I will tell you right now, I am not in violation of the Foreign Agent Registration Act. I have not done anything that would do it, and hopefully by executing the search warrant and taking the materials that they did, they will rapidly reach that conclusion. I will say that things like this have a chilling effect on free speech. There's no doubt that I'm being targeted because of statements I've made about U.S. policy in Ukraine. I'm being targeted because I have made an effort to try and improve relations between the United States and Russia, to try to bring about arms control, to bring about peace. Apparently somebody in the U.S. government takes umbrage at this, so they executed a search warrant. The FBI was extraordinarily professional. I have no...
Guys, remember that a month or so ago, a little bit over a month ago, when he was going to the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, where he was supposed to participate in a panel with Jackson Hinkle, he also had his passport confiscated and was prevented from flying to Russia. So this isn't the first time the deep state comes after Scott.
Complaints against the personnel that did this. I do have complaints against the personnel that caused this to happen. This has a chilling impact on free speech. The idea that you have a free speech right in America when you execute it in a manner that the U.S. government takes exception to, and they launch a search warrant, that is an intimidation factor. I can say that I am not intimidated, and I will continue to speak out, and I will continue to do what I do, because that's my responsibility as an American citizen, and I will continue to operate in that manner. So I think I gave you all the answers you need at this point in time. I would request that you respect that and let me and my wife get on with our business.
What time did they?
So there you go. The people that came after Scott, just like the people that came after us in Venezuela and Jackson specifically, they're traitors. They're traitors to the homeland. They're traitors to the homeland. They're violating the rights that we have as citizens. The most progressive thing about the bourgeois revolutions are these rights that we get. The fact that we don't have to live in an autocratic, absolutist, feudal hellhole. The fact that we have some form of formal equality and freedom. They're violating these. These people are anti-American. The people that signed the search warrants to go and invade Scott's house and violate his privacy and his freedom of speech and his comfort and basic security. Those people are anti-American. They're acting just like MacArthur was. Not MacArthur, McCarthy. General McCarthy, for the mastermind or one of them behind McCarthyism, that's anti-American. Its whole premise is violating the rights that the American people consider to be the most sacred. Freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of media, freedom of movement, in part, as when you're an American citizen. All of these have been violated for Scott. These have been violated for some of us. Jackson and I who went to Venezuela. Jackson barely got out, just like myself. We barely got out of the country. If it wasn't for the protection of the government, we would have been, potentially killed, kidnapped, something. Under whose orders? Is this what the American government wants to do to the American people who have differences of opinion on foreign policy? What sort of patriotism supports that? The violation of our rights for exercising them. For saying that our resources, our people's taxes, should not be going to genocide. That's what they violate our rights for, because we say enough of sending our tax dollars to fund genocides. So it's a very tragic story, but it tells us something, man. It really does tell us something. They wouldn't be attacking us, attacking Jackson, attacking Scott if they weren't scared. They attack. It's like any dog. Like the dogs, when dogs attack humans, it's not because they're bad. It's because they're scared. They attack when they're scared, as do sharks. Most animals, when they attack humans, it's because they're scared. It's the same thing with humans or with the government. They're attacking us because they're scared. They recognize that there's a profound crisis of legitimacy, that people are not accepting the ruling ideas, that they're starting to rock the boat, that they have complete distrust of the ruling institutions, both ideological and repressive in character. And they understand that we are a potential alternative. And so they have to try to squash us in any way possible. Destroy our rights to speech, which are attacks not just on us, but every American. I don't think the American people are going to stand for it. I think they're going to recognize in the attacks that Scott recently faced the profoundly anti-constitutional and anti-American character of those attacks. And the same thing with Jackson. So, anyways, folks, thank you so much, Powell, for the 120. I believe those are euros. I might be mistaken. Hi, Carlos. I congratulate you on the founding of the new party. I live in Austria, and because the social system has not broken down completely, people are still believing in social democracy while being manipulated into communism bad, Russia bad, Muslim bad. Powell, I would say this, man. As Lenin said, there's decades where nothing happens and weeks where decades happen. It might seem as everything's fine and stable now, but trust the movement of history is going to produce circumstances in the coming years or decades where that won't be the case. And when that shitstorm comes, you want to be ready. So start building with the people who have the foresight to understand that things are going to get bad. Start building the base, start educating yourselves. And when the shitstorm hits, when the apocalypse hits, you're going to be ready. Don't wait for the apocalypse to be here to start getting ready. Just know that it's going to come, and be ready when it comes to lead the people down the right direction. Thank you so much again for the donation. Thank you so much, Eric House. How does one join ACP? I'm in California. You have to go to, I think it's acp.us. Let me give you the exact website. You link it to the chat. Yeah, acp.us. I believe you apply by sending in a questionnaire that we have people fill out. Then you sign up through Telegram. You do an interview. And if you're accepted, you become a member. You can only become a member if there's already a club in motion in your area. If not, you have to find at least 2 more people. It's no good if you're just a random lone ranger somewhere in like Nebraska or something. Like, the point of communists is to have some sense of community. So you need to, if you join, you have to have at least 2 people with you if there's not already people in your area to vouch for you. So check that out, acp.us, if you're interested. Thank you so much for the super chat again. Thank you, Korean Jesus. Holy crap, we have the Lord here, Christ. Thank you so much, Jesus, for the 60 euro, I believe, super chat. Korean Jesus. Big things are happening in Midwestern Mark streams. Just tell you that. Big things are happening in Midwestern Mark streams. We got Korean Jesus. and a bunch of other characters here. So, well, folks, this has been extremely enjoyable. I do have to get going. I have class in 30 minutes. I still haven't eaten. I have to eat some food, get some food in my system so I can do my 2 to 3 hour class. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you all guaranteed next Thursday, but maybe sometime before. Thank you for all of those who were able to donate to the Midwestern Marx Institute, the People's Institute. You're keeping our light bills on, and our projects, publishing projects ongoing. And thank you to all of those who watched and will watch. Make sure to share with anyone and everyone who you think should be hearing this communist message. So thank you all, comrades, and we'll see you next time.
Stand up, all victims of oppression, for the tyrants fear your might. Don't cling so hard to your possessions, for you have nothing if you have no right. Let racist ignorance be ended, for respect makes the empires fall. Freedom is merely privilege extended, unless enjoyed by one and all. So come, brothers and sisters, for the struggle carries on. The International unites the world in the song. So comrades, come rally, for this is the time and place. The international ideal unites the human race. Let no one build walls to divide us, walls of hatred nor walls of stone. Come greet the dawn and stand beside us. We'll live together or we'll die alone. In our world poisoned by exploitation, those who have taken, now they must give. And end the vanity of nations. We've but one earth on which to live. So come, brothers and sisters, for the struggle carries on. The International unites the world in the song. So comrades, come rally, for this is the time and place. The international ideal unites the human race. And so begins the final drama, in the streets and in the fields. We stand unbowed before their armor, we defy their guns and shields. When we fight, provoked by their aggression, let us be inspired by life and love. For though they offer us concessions,